global parent perspective, when you look at the Indian, Indian unit, there are some challenges that the Indian company is facing as far as debt is concerned. Are there any plans from the parent to infuse any equity in the Indian unit?
Well, I mean, we do this usually in a scale that we link this with the investments. Who is investing, how we are investing, and that also then implies, let's say, equity injections. So far in the moment, I think there is no need to do anything. If we would go for a larger investment, we might have to do this, but that's, I would say, a normal metrics of BASF for every country. But overall, I think we produce a lot of cash flow here, and the company could grow very much also on the steam it generates in the country.
Would there be any plans, I presume there was some talk some time ago about delisting from the Indian stock exchanges. What is the discussion right now on that front?
Well, I mean, we have over the recent years, when I was here also for 10 years a responsible board member in Asia Pacific, we have stepped up our engagement in the BASF India Limited to the 73.55%, I think, today. But there is limits as to the regulation also. I mean, there is no current need to change anything here, because this is also where it goes with the current regulation. But whatever would happen in the legal frame, if that would be possible in the future, we have to think about it. What we will do then, I cannot tell you. I think we are doing fine in the moment with the setup we have.
I was reading a very, very recent City report on BASF, global City report, which said that possibly by FY18 you would generate enough cash to do a big buyback. Would that be like really in the thought process now, and could India feature somewhere if something like that is happening?
I mean, we have done in the past as a company, as a global company, a lot of share buybacks, but that was a time, quite some time ago, we have bought more than a quarter of our shares back. But I think in the moment it is not a topic for us, because there are so many opportunities to invest, and I would rather say it is a little bit of boring perspective if you give the money back to buy your own shares. We have more good ideas what to do with our cash, which is to invest in R&D and which is to invest in new capacities. So I would not say it's a hot topic in the
Right. You spoke about investments, the money that you would save, you would rather invest it into the opportunities that are coming up. From the organic perspective, you are increasing a lot as far as capacities is concerned, but on the inorganic space, you've been somewhere shy of making big, acquisitions globally. What is the difference, when a Bayer or a Monsanto look at big mergers? What is the strategy difference here with the BASF that you focus on smaller acquisitions, and what could be coming up next on the charts?
Well, I would not call us shy. I would call us very rational. Actually, first of all, in the current merger and acquisition scene, prices have been very, very high. The valuations have been very high. Money is cheap, interest rates are low, so a lot of companies pay very, very high prices, where we just say they are not justified. This is not reflecting the value of the companies. That's the one aspect. The other aspect is that we have not so easy opportunities always, because we have high market shares. There are not endless opportunities, because very often you have a kind of an antitrust issue if you combine market shares. That's one other aspect. And the third one also, if you look now in the big deals which you talk about, like Monsanto and Bayer, if you look into this, it's a lot of money and it's one bet you make. If you look on BASF strategy, we have a very broad portfolio. If we would take 60 billion to only invest in one deal in AgChem, we would not have the power, the financial power anymore to fuel all the other businesses in the portfolio. So it's simply not reflecting our strategy. We want to have cash and money and opportunities for all the businesses in the BASF portfolio. And for that reason, I think the logic, just from the portfolio and the strategy point of view, is to rather do mid-sized acquisition. But I can tell you, we're looking for many years also in India to do mid-sized acquisitions, but it's not always so easy, because some of the companies here in India are in private hands. So where is a buyer, there must be also a seller. So it's not always so easy.
In fact, I was about to ask you that, in this small bolt-on acquisitions that you look at globally, where would India be, and if you would be looking, and which would be the segments where you would be looking to make these acquisitions?
Well, I would not limit it down. As I said, it is more or less about of the full portfolio. It doesn't make sense much in chemicals, because this is an integrated big big-sized business.
Right.
But in all the other businesses of the performance product segments and the functionalized material solutions businesses, there could be opportunities over there. And I would not limit it down to a small part. Okay,
and what could be the size of acquisition that you would be looking in the Indian market?
I would also not limit that. I mean, if you look into the Indian industry structure, you have a lot of mid-sized family-owned companies and so on. So it would most probably also this sector where you look into, because the bigger companies are usually also state-owned or have some other ownership structure that are not so simple. But we are open and we look into this.
500 million to $1 billion? Is that your size?
And can be also smaller if you are in one business.
All right. If I talk now from the global perspective, some of your key markets like Europe have seen slowdown. Globally, how are you strategizing to deal with, there have been currency fluctuations in some of the emerging markets. Europe has seen some bit of growth slowdown in the last 1 or 2 years. How is BASF Global strategizing now to tide over these hurdles and to clock in growth?
I mean, I guess if you look a little bit back since the last financial crisis, 2008, 2009, somehow business world changed a bit, and I think the good old world is not coming back. So as a big company today, you have to deal with uncertainty, with volatility, and I think the secret in doing business today, you have to prepare that something is happening, and then your team has to react. So I think if you look into the environment today, how many crisis areas we have in the world, how many slowdowns, how many trade issues we have all over the world, it's hard to plan for that. I think you have to go for a long-term fundamental growth numbers, and then you have to follow up with your investments to be prepared to do. And sometimes you have just to walk away from the short-term impact. You say, I believe in this country in the long term. If you think about our engagement in China, we have done this so early on, which was good. The same applies for India. I don't care so much whether there is a year a little bit lower or higher in the growth rate. I simply believe, or we simply believe, in the growth potential of India, and that's why we engage here. So I think we have to free up ourselves a little bit from this quarterly and even yearly view on things. We have to keep the big picture, the long-term picture into mind. And then sometimes you have to be also bold. You have to do an investment, maybe in a time where people say, why you are investing? And then you have to tell them, because I believe in the long-term growth potential.
All right. I hope that, like the way you make complex chemicals so easy, you would make the complex global environment also easy for BASF to work. We wish you all the luck in all your endeavors. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.